Hello. Welcome to day 3 of the 7-day clarity and prioritization challenge. So, already this week you've taken step to raise your self-awareness, you've defined what you truly want, and you have a process on making goals in which you have like a higher chance of success. So today what we're going to do is we're going to take it further by diving into prioritization. So this session will help you separate what's important from the distractions so that you can prioritize and direct your energy towards the goals that mean the most to you. And at the end of today, you should have a clear list of priorities, which will make it easier to stay focused on what truly matters. So if you can imagine it like you're filling up a jar with rocks, pebbles, and sand. If you started with the sand, there's not going to be any room for the rocks that are bigger and more important. But if you begin with the rocks, then everything else can fit in around it. So today's about identifying those rocks, the priorities that deserve your focus first. And this way you're not overwhelmed by like little things and consuming your energy on things that aren't as important, and that you can stay focused and directed where it counts. So prioritizing is not about saying yes to everything, and it's about learning to say no or not right now to the less important things so that your time and energy and focus can stay on what's actually going to move you forward. So today's goal, we're going to develop a process which you can use to identify and rank your top priorities, clarifying the things that genuinely should consume your energy. And by the end, you can have a structured list of priorities that are more aligned with like your core values and desires. Without having a clear priority, it's easy to get sidetracked by everything. So like imagine you're a boat without a rudder. You just drift wherever the wind takes you and then wonder why you're a bit lost or going around in circles, or that you haven't made it to the port to pick up the supplies that you need to continue on your journey. So prioritization is kind of like setting your rudder and gives you a direction and keeps you from drifting. So first I want you to do is list any goals or desires that you currently have. So make sure that you revisit what we did yesterday and how you've got a process there on making sure that they're well-formed goals with well-formed outcomes and they're framed in the right way. So try and come up with at least like 3 to 5 desires that feel important to you. After doing the last couple of days, you should have a sense that it's at least doable to start moving forward. Like everything you need is a skill that can be learned, right? Like there should be a little bit more clarity coming. So hopefully it's a little bit more exciting, a little bit more purposeful, like doing these sort of things. If not, I would recommend that you go back and do the last couple of days and do the exercise as well, because you should have a little bit more clarity and purpose moving forward at this point. So once you've got your 3 to 5 goals or desires listed out, there's this simple tool that's called the Eisenhower Matrix. It's a productivity work tool, but can be useful across personal contexts as well. So Dwight Eisenhower was a 5-star general during the war and the 34th president of the United States. The thing that he understood was the fundamental difference between the urgent and the important. So there's this like famous quote in here from like a university professor, and it's like, I have 2 kinds of problems: the urgent and the important. The urgent are not important, and the important are never urgent. So this framework of prioritization that we're going to go through helps you combat what's being coined like the mere urgency effect. I'll explain that in a second. We're going to eliminate time wasters in your life and create a more mental space for you to progress towards your goals. So there was a study done in the Journal of Consumer Research which set out to examine how people decide what to work on when faced with tasks of mixed urgency and importance. So across 5 separate experiments, they observed a really interesting pattern that our attention is drawn more to time-sensitive tasks over ones that are less urgent, even when the less urgent task offers greater reward overall. So that psychological quirk has been dubbed the mere urgency effect. And it explains why we're so bad at task and time management. We're more likely to prioritize tasks with a deadline over tasks without one. So regardless of their long-term payoffs. Everyone wants the quick kind of fix, quick kind of dopamine hit. So the study went on to show, though, that if participants were prompted to consider the consequences of their choices a bit more at the time that they select them, they were significantly more likely to choose the important task over the urgent one. So these findings suggest that if you keep the long-term importance of your non-urgent tasks in view, you can overcome the pull towards the urgent distractions, and it can keep you focused on what really matters to you. So we're going to take a look at each goal, evaluate it for both importance and urgency. And a helpful question to ask here is, how central is this is achieving this goal to my overall sense of fulfillment and peace, or whatever you're kind of going for. So this matrix has 4 quadrants. You can I've done a download, or you can look at it on the screen. So you've got the urgent and important tasks. They need to be completed immediately. You've got not urgent but important tasks, and they can be sort of scheduled into your calendar. Then you've got the urgent and unimportant tasks, and they can be delegated to someone else, or sometimes in personal goals that's a little bit different, but you can come up with some sort of relevant outsourcing or help for the not important but urgent tasks. And then the not urgent and unimportant tasks, they can just be deleted. So you're wasting your time, which is all you have in this life, so don't waste it. So urgent matters are those that require immediate action. They're the visible issues that pop up and demand your attention right now. So often urgent matters come with clear consequences for not completing those tasks. So urgent tasks are unavoidable, you have to do them, but spending too much time putting out fires can produce a great deal of stress, and that will result in burnout. So if you've got too many urgent and important tasks, it might be an interesting exercise to actually evaluate what important means to you. So important matters, on the other hand, are those that contribute to long-term goals and life values. So these items require planning and thoughtful action. So when you focus on important things, you manage your time, energy, and attention rather than mindlessly expending those resources. So what's important is completely subjective, and it depends on your own values and personal goals. So no one else can define what's important to you. So if you're putting everything in urgent and important, your definition of one of them might be causing you a bit of grief. So to really clarify those two separate definitions might help you separate it out a little bit more. So I'm not really going to go more into that. Like, you're all capable adults, you can look it up and work it out. But I've got linked below like an example of that, and you can use it as a starter. So for each of the ones in each of the boxes, you are going to just take 2 of them and you're going to compare them against each other. So if you ask yourself, if I could only accomplish one thing this month, what would I choose? So you compare them together, and that will help you prioritize them. So if you could only take one, which one would you take? You can take both of them, don't stress out, but if you could only take one, what would you take? And that's going to be the higher ranked one. And then you kind of compare all of them to each other like that, and then you list them, from the one that you would take over all of them, and it goes down the list. So that's, again, once you've prioritized them into these 4 quadrants, then you can further prioritize them in importance within that. So if you think of your priorities like the foundation of a building, without a solid foundation, nothing else can stand, on the building. So by setting clear priorities, you're laying the foundation and groundwork for success in any given area. So ensuring that each action is kind of building on the foundation and not just like scattered blocks everywhere with no structure. So it is really important to have priorities within the system of which you're using to kind of design your life, I guess. So once you've done that, you're going to focus your time and energy on the urgent and important things, like they're obviously the ones that you need to do first. And lastly, I want you to write down whatever your top priority is for now, or your top 2 priorities, and describe how it aligns with the core values, your core values, and why it feels like, why you feel it deserves your focus right now. So the purpose here is to reinforce your commitment to these priorities and connect them to your inner alignment. So if you're comfortable, feel free to pop it in down in the comments below, and that can keep you accountable and make sure that you've done this exercise. But completely up to you. That's the Eisenhower matrix, and a couple of ways to prioritize your goals. Remember, setting priorities is not about doing everything, it's about doing the right things and setting a foundation. So by clearly defining what matters most, you're giving yourself permission to let go of what's less important. That gives you focus, gives you momentum to make real progress and make lasting change. So tomorrow we'll be creating actionable steps for these priorities, so you can start turning your vision into a reality. So be proud of the clarity that you've created today by setting your priorities and paving the way for meaningful progress. So keep reminding yourself of the impact and alignment of each priority, and this will keep you motivated and focused and as you continue through the week. So I will see you tomorrow.